Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and welcome to the Attleboro School Committee meeting of Monday, January 9th, 2023. This is your reminder and notice that this meeting is being electronically recorded. And we're going to start tonight with a spotlight event from one of our elementary schools, Hill Roberts, and for that introductions, I'll turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent Regan.
Thank you, Chairman Withers. So tonight we have Hill Roberts Elementary School presenting their PBIS, as well as a mural that they have updated in the building. But before I hand it over to Principal Chalman, I just wanted to acknowledge that we also have Alicia Morin here with us. She is the acting assistant principal. We had Ms. Skeffington, who had taken another job in another district, and Alicia was able to step up for us and assume the position for the remainder of the year. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank her for coming tonight. And with that, I'll hand it over to Principal Chalman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would like to invite our students up to take your spots, please. We brought about half of our student body this evening. So my name is Evan Shellman. I'm the principal at Hill Roberts Elementary. We're happy to have this opportunity to spotlight a few things happening at Hill Roberts in regard to PBIS, which is Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. Before we begin, I want to introduce the students and a couple of our staff members who are here. These students are artists who have been handpicked to work on a special project at school by our art teacher, Miss Maureen DeBoer, and she is here. You'll hear more about the project that they're working on from Miss DeBoer a little bit later. I'd like to introduce Quinn Shirley, Jeremy Salvis, Callan Phillips, Ali Winegi, and then Ivy Ronayne, Brooklyn Adams, and Summer Murray. You'll hear from them in just a moment as they tell you about some of our PBIS incentives at Hill Roberts Elementary School. Staff members who make up our PBIS committee, we have 13, but some of them are with us tonight. So we have with us tonight, we have Miss Katie Scott, and we have Miss Rachel DeGrace. Then we also have Miss Alicia Morin, and Miss Julie Katsalis, and then myself. Also on the committee, not here this evening, we have Jen Leach, Stephanie Torres, we have Sue Kafus, Katie Wright, and Brooke Lindsay. So it's a nice, robust, well-represented committee. A theme of our presentation is CREST. CREST stands for Care, Respect, Excellence, Safety, and Trust, and those are our values. And now Quinn is going to make sure we are ready for the presentation.
Before we begin, we want to make sure everyone is being a good audience member. I am looking for your eyes to be on the speaker, mouths are quiet, and ears are listening. Our hands and our feet are still in control. Thank you. I feel listened to. We're ready to begin.
At Hill Roberts, each month the Golden Plunger goes to the grade level that shows the most care and respect for the classrooms and bathrooms as judged by our custodians, Mr. Sawyer. May I ask you to be a judge?
Of course.
Do you think the space in these rooms has been kept tidy?
I would say yes.
The school committee has earned a Golden Plunger.
Come on around.
Good job.
At Hill Roberts, the Golden
sport goes to the grade level that shows the most care and respect in the cafeteria during the month as judged by our kitchen and cafeteria staff. Is the school committee deserving of our golden sport tonight? Mrs. Regan, do you see any crumbs or coffee stains on the tables?
Not tonight.
The school committee has earned the golden sport.
At Hill Roberts, our Golden Apple Award goes to staff members who have shown care, respect, excellence, safety, and trust during the month. We would like to present the Golden Apple to Mr. Withers for his excellent leadership of the school committee.
We gotta get
What a
the
night.
word, Captain.
Also, we have a Golden Apple for Mrs. DeLore for showing caring and excellence helping to create this mural.
Excellent. So students, we're going to ask you to switch. We'll move on to the next slide. And before we get to the video, which is down here. Perfect. I'll introduce Maureen DeVore, our art teacher.
So this is just a quick time-lapse video that I put together just to show the work that the students have been doing so far. So, from what I have heard, the previous mural in the cafeteria has been around for probably over 30 years. So when we discussed the possibility of creating a new mural, we knew that we wanted it to be something fun and colorful and something that would ignite creativity and imagination within our students. We also knew that we wanted to showcase our values at Hill Roberts. So after discussions with the PBIS committee, I created a digital mock-up of the mural. One half includes the Husky paw prints with caring, respect, excellence, safety, and trust. And the other half includes our new mantra that we say at Hill Roberts. And that is encompassed with a whole bunch of fun, colorful, organic shapes that the students have been painting. So it was very challenging narrowing it down to just a few students in each 3rd and 4th grade class, but the students who were chosen do an amazing job of showing crest in the art room every time they come to art. And not only that, but they work really hard, they think creatively, and they have a true passion for creating art. I'm very proud of the work that they have done so far. So the students that we have here tonight would just like to say a few words about how they feel getting to participate in the project. Ivy, would you like to start?
I feel proud of myself because I respect my art teacher.
Brooklyn?
I feel proud that I got picked because my hard work pays off.
Callan,
I love art, so I'm happy to be part of a large-scale art project.
and Summer.
I feel special because Mrs. DeBoer noticed how hard I work in art class.
Thank you.
So that's going to complete our presentation, but we will end with our mantra. And
Hill
Hill Roberts, we practice
crest to always be our husky best.
So thank you very much for allowing us to be here tonight and share a little bit about our PBIS routines and supports. And if there's any questions or comments, we're happy to hear from you.
I'll start just by saying thank you for the presentation, and to the students, great job. It's never easy to get up and speak in front of a room full of people. You guys did a great job. Sure made your parents and teachers proud. You learned, you obviously have learned a good lesson that always bring gifts and certificates and awards.
We're going to want those back, by the way.
We'll see. But seriously, thank you very much, and job well done. Anyone else? Yeah, Mr. Larson?
Just want to thank you. I mean, I can't wait to go down and see the mural sometime. It looks like you guys have done a great job on it, and you shall be very proud.
Mrs. Torres?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Great job, everybody. You guys, getting in front of adults like this and speaking like you guys did, you guys did a great job. I'm assuming this is in the cafeteria area, is that correct?
Yes.
So when you guys are having lunch, you're able to actually see your mural, is that right? That's awesome. That's great. What a perfect place for it. So, great job.
Mr. Geddes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I love the CREST mantra, and I'm excited that that's something that that you all continue to strive to and work towards. And I hope that you stick with that well beyond Hill Roberts, and even while you're students at Hill Roberts, anything you're doing outside of school, if you do any sports or Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, any other activities, CREST is a fantastic way to approach everything that you do. So great work, and thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have to give them back.
Gotta put this one back in the third grade area and this one in the first grade area.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll student council that.
You're getting the rotten
All right, next on the agenda, we have Student Advisory Council. Mr. Medeiros and Mr. Miller, I'll turn it over to you guys. So I will say, I don't see any gifts or...
We'll try for next time. Just thank you for having us again. It's always nice to have this time to just tell you what the students are up to at the school. It's just, first of all, it's nice to see other students get involved even at such a young age. Like, that was really cool to see a little presentation by even like elementary schoolers. So that's really fun to see. But I believe you've been made aware and invited that the high school is hosting the Attleboro mayoral debate this Wednesday night. And me and Ian have been kind of working with that to put it all together. So we're really excited about that. And Ian, if you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, so the debate is being run by the student council, and I'm the student council president, and Zach plays a huge role in student council as well. So the whole debate's really been student run, which I think is just really impressive because we've been putting together the whole debate. Obviously we've had guidance, but like all the ideas, all the questions have been made by the students. Everything will be run by the students. So hopefully when you guys attend, you guys will see all the hard work we've put in. But we've been working on it for the better part of about 3-4 weeks, and we wrote out invitations to all the candidates. We met with the candidates the other day, showed them around the school, showed them what we were going to be doing. I think it's just something really important, and it's something new that we would not have been able to do with the old school, just because of the condition and everything and what we were dealing with. But it's just different because it's new learning experience. Like it's a different way of seeing things, because obviously when you watch a debate, you see what's going on. But like now, all the students have seen the behind the scenes. We see what's going into like thinking about the questions, and it's not. We see the bigger problems within the community, and even on a higher level, we think about, oh well, maybe I haven't come in contact with this problem, but it's something bigger that we should address within the debate. And it's a new type of learning experience that I think we wouldn't have been able to get with the new school. So it's just a really good learning experience for everyone.
Yeah, and like Ian's saying, like it's a new learning thing. Like this type of thing is not something, like you learn from it in ways that you can't really learn from in a classroom. Really getting hands-on, and especially like me, Ian, and several other students that are really leading the whole thing. Like you learn a lot about leadership and how to work within a group. And not just like a group, but a group of like many different students, because we're pulling students from all different aspects of the school to try to help put this whole thing together. Like we have us from like student council, student advisory council, but we also have students from the new action civics courses in the school. Those are the students that are really coming up with the questions and the ideas for the questions. And then we have also like graphic design working with us to design like little pamphlets and little name cards for the candidates, and just students from other aspects of the school as well. So it's just been really nice to see everybody working together, and I think we're really proud of how far it's come, and we're excited to see it all come together on Wednesday night. So we hope you guys can join us.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Yeah, we look forward to it. Mr. Geddes?
I was just going to give you one last opportunity. What time? Give folks all the details, exact location.
Yeah, so it'll be on Wednesday, 6:30 in the Bray Auditorium, right outside the back entrance. So we'll have plenty of greeters out there and ushers to show everyone where it is and where to go. But yeah, 6:30 Wednesday.
Well, I think it starts at 6:30. Doors open at 6.
Yeah,
so,
doors open at 6.
Yep, doors open at 6, the back entrance to the school. And we'll have people out there to show everybody where to go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Domenici?
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. It's great to have a student voice so prominently, and it's great that the building is ready. I don't see this as a unique opportunity. I see this as just opportunity going forward. There's elections every 2 years, so I'm excited for Wednesday. I will certainly be there, and I'm really proud of all the work that everyone's done. So I look forward to it, and like I said, there's going to be other opportunities, so this could be the way to set that foundation up, and couldn't be prouder for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Storrs?
Thank you, Mr. So, this is a special election, so, I had not heard of a mayoral debate going to happen, so without you guys, there may not have been one. So I think that says a lot, that you guys took it upon yourself to step up, to come up with these plans, and to make this happen. And, the community should be thankful of that, so I know I am.
Thank you. That's one of our goals with this whole thing is to get the population of Attleboro like involved and informed about this, because like already it's not everybody that goes to vote in a normal election, let alone a special election. And so an event like this, where not only do you get to see some parts of the new school, which everybody in the city is excited about, and just you get to see this event it's not like a boring normal debate that people may not go to. This one, it's being led by students and everything, so I think a lot more people would be interested and excited to come.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys both, and look forward to seeing you Wednesday night, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on our business agenda, we'll turn it over to the superintendent's report. The first item I have, first I guess I'll turn it over to Superintendent Sawyer for his report before we get into the business matters.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to echo the message shared by our representatives from the students tonight. In 2015, when we created the first strategic plan and talked about relevant learning, a lot of people, kind of furrowed their eyebrows and said, what do you mean by that? And that we can sit here and really sort of champion how we've created the conditions in which something like this can happen, I think shows how much progress we've made towards making sure that our kids have the kinds of experiences that are going to prepare them for the world that they're going to inhabit all too soon. I have one brief update for you this evening before we get into our presentation on our strategic plan update. And that's just, as I shared with you in my Friday update, this morning, for the first time, we did automated phone calls for student absences for all absences. Now, when I say all, there are a couple exceptions. There are certain students that are in situations like, say, if they've been suspended from school, that we're not calling for, so it's not exactly all, but just about all, which is a change in practice from the district for many years. It used to be the case that if your family called us or sent us an email and ahead of time and notified us that you were out, we didn't call. But we've decided to make that change because we think it's really important that whenever a student isn't here, whether we think the parent knows or not, we don't take that for granted and that we notify them that the student isn't here. We don't always know who's left a voice message. We don't always know who wrote an email. And I think it's an important safety precaution to make sure that anytime a kid's not here, that parents are made aware of that fact, even if they know and have called in advance. So no changes to how we excuse absences or any of the procedures around that, just the idea that in the morning you're going to get a call and a text message saying your child is absent, regardless of whether you let us know ahead of time, is a change. We messaged that ahead of time, but I'm sure that for some people there was a little bit of a change this morning. Seems to have gone well, certainly on the technical end worked well. So we hope that this will be a practice that people will come to count on for reliable information about where our students are. Okay, if there are no questions about that, then we'll get right into our work tonight to give you an update on how the strategic plan is going this year.
Okay, thank you. So the purpose of the presentation tonight is to do two things. One, update the committee on the progress of the current outcomes that we've been focusing on, as well as to propose new outcomes for the 23-24 school year. This quote is embedded in our strategic plan because I'm sure all of you remember we started the process to update the strategic plan before the pandemic and then was interrupted. And it was because of the strong mission and vision that we had from the previous strategic plan that we were able to continue to maneuver our way through the interruption and get to the other side to a place where we could continue to focus on the goals that we had already discussed prior to the interruption. So thought it was important to note that. The goals for this evening are to review the annual planning process. That was something that was part of the new plan so that we could continually provide progress and update you on the new goals that we'll be targeting. And then also present you with our progress, present you with the draft, and then also next steps where we go from here. All right, so tonight we'll be focusing on numbers 3 and 4. It's a combination of both of them. And as previously mentioned, it's specifically identifying and asking your approval for the outcomes for next year and then our progress to date. So just as a quick reminder, through the conversation that we had, all the strategic plan conversations, there were 3 main topics that emerged from each discussion, and those topics then turned into goals. And so they focused around personalized student learning, maintaining and creating active relationships for our students and our families and the community, as well as ensuring access to education that meets the needs of our students, families, and the community. All right, this is the dashboard that we had shared with you previously for the goals that we're currently working on. And I think we had shared this earlier, that these goals are Superintendent Sawyer's goals as well as mine for this school year, so we're actively working on them. Okay, for goal 1, specifically looking at curriculum review, and adoption and implementation. So over the past couple of years, we've adopted 2 new programs in literacy. K-6 have taken the time to really document our processes, including piloting materials, meeting with students, meeting with staff, and really talking about what would be a best fit for our schools. And right now, we've been able to document all of that and that process, as well as, and now we need to go out and get some feedback on all of the work that's been done to date. In terms of our transition planning, that's been the bulk of the work of the district guidance team. That means transitioning from one grade level to another, so from pre-K to K, from grades 4 to 5, and then grade 8 to 9. A couple of the things to note is that for the past couple years, our TV and radio broadcasting students have created a video welcoming all of our grade 9 students, and we're able to share that with all of them. Our guidance staff department at the high school went to each middle school, met with students in grade 8 individually to really talk to them specifically about college and career planning with Naviance and begin those conversations and to help them select courses for grade 9 for the following year. Mr. Gay from our CTE director, he was able to visit each of our middle schools as well to talk to them about the CTE programming that we have here. In March, this is a new development, the staff from AHS and from our middle schools will meet to talk about the house model and student placement, making sure that we're taking into consideration any special circumstances. In May, we'll do the same thing with our middle school personnel as well as our elementary personnel for the grade 4 to 5 placement. Our elementary students were able to visit our middle schools last spring, and thanks very much to our PTOs, they were able to receive a small token. They received a water bottle with the mascot of each of the middle schools that they will be attending. And after that, the middle school principals then went to each elementary school to speak with the students to see if they had any questions or concerns after that visit. For the next one, in terms of attendance, Ms. DePalma and her staff have been working pretty hard to put some systems and processes in place to monitor attendance consistently across the district. This has been, the past couple of years have been pretty challenging to track that and monitor that just because of the pandemic and the amount of absences that we've had. But a couple of the things that they've done, they've identified students who are struggling with attendance. They've put together action plans for those students, continually to communicate with the families and the students about their attendance in school, and maintain consistent communication with Ms. DePalma and her staff. We've also maintained communication with DCF, the court magistrate, and any other outside services that we've placed those families in contact with to support them with attendance and other concerns that they may have. This has helped us to foster some positive relations with our families and the community and the schools, and it's also a way. Well, as part of that process, we've also been able to document all of the work that we've been doing and to make sure that what we are doing is actually working. In terms of the student portfolios and Portrait of a Graduate, so the Portrait of a Graduate work is deeply connected to the portfolios. So this year, the Teaching and Learning Council has created a system where where teachers are visiting each other during the school day to see Portrait of a Graduate in action. They're observing each other and having positive conversations about what Portrait of a Graduate is and how it connects to day-to-day student learning. I'm going to hand it over to Superintendent Sawyer.
So goal 2 is about family and community engagement, and the strategic outcomes for this year center on communication and satellite services. Communication obviously is centered around our implementation of Aptigee as a new platform for the district. It starts with the website, which has been completely overhauled, brought into the 2020s, no longer looks like something from 2007. It also has the kinds of services that I think will help support our need for people to think of it as a resource and use it as a resource. We had lots of resources on the old website, but it was hard to convince people that that was a place to remember to ever even check because it seemed out of date. So the website itself has been completely overhauled, and that's still a work in progress. There's a huge amount of content on there, and we are working through how the new system is set up and the best way to utilize its functions. And so, it'll be some time before we're done going through and overhauling everything, but it's up and running, and it looks much, much better and is much more functional. We picked Apogee because as much as we wanted the website to reflect our current thinking on how we should be communicating, the app was the real key feature of this platform that most people don't actually, go onto computer websites on desktop anymore. In your personal life, you spend most of your time on your cell phone. And so having a system that is accessible through an app, and that an app that makes it easy for parents to keep up, was another big advantage to Apogee. And the fact that we have over 4,000 families who have downloaded the app shows that we've made some real headway. And we're always, working on our practices to encourage people to stay up to date and to keep up. We work through a lot of issues around getting people set up so that their notifications worked. If they don't have everything just right, it doesn't work. So, we've been working with families that have noticed that wasn't working for them. But we're also making sure to generate plenty of meaningful content, both in terms of the images that people like to see, to keep them up to date with what's going on in the schools, but also the information that they need so that they know what they need to do to support their children. We've also implemented Rooms, which replaces Remind as a way of two-way communication. Classrooms in the district have all set those up and invited parents to join. That's still a work in progress to convince both educators and families that that's the better way to communicate. But in the end, we think we'll get there because, to be quite honest, email has become somewhat passé. While there are some people who are still devoted to it, we find that lots of families, especially younger families, don't really pay much attention to the emails that we send. And we feel like the two-way communication through the app feels much more like the social media environment that they're used to. It's a much easier way to get their attention and to have that two-way communication that Rooms will provide in the end. And again, working on that implementation as well. And then finally, we've put a lot of work this fall into being ready to use the alert functions of the app so that if there were to be a cancellation, which I'm pleased to say, not only has that not happened yet this year, but nothing even in the forecast yet. So hopefully that continues. But if and when Mother Nature decides to remind us that she hasn't forgotten about us, we'll be ready for that as well, because we've done lots of tests, both with staff and families, to make sure that everyone's getting the communication. And again, we believe that this will be a quick and reliable way to get information out fast about anything that people need to know. So all of this summarizes the work we've been doing to improve communication with the district and families. Goal 2 is about satellite services. So the district partners with all kinds of organizations throughout the community to support our kids. We connect families with services. And the reason why we do that is because even though it's our mission to educate children, and that's our function, that's our mission, it goes without saying that it's hard to educate someone whose physical or mental needs are not being met, right? We need to support families to help kids to be healthy, safe, and focused on school. And so whatever we can do to help families get in touch with services that help them to create the stable environments that we know benefit kids is in our interest. And so these organizations, want access to the students who have the needs, and the families want access to the services. And so the school sits in a very important position in helping families to make those connections. And we've made some real strides through the Welcome Center in creating that kind of environment. Specifically, our partnership with Man at Health is instrumental. We've been working with them since they've come to Attleboro. In fact, I wrote a letter of support that helped to get the grant to bring Man to Attleboro. So we've been involved with them all along, and in the new building through the Welcome Center, we're even strengthening the services that we're able to provide families. The Family Resource Center of Taunton and have been very, very supportive of us, and so much so that they are now working on creating an Attleboro center as well. We also have strong connections with CCBC, which is Community Counseling of Bristol County, and New Hope. So, these are all organizations that are in our community that we've strengthened our partnerships with and are able to provide health services, mental health services, legal services, all kinds of things that families need so that they can better support their students, so that we can all work together for student success. But we also have other, services that we're helping provide with families, just meeting basic needs. We're able to help families in need for issues around food security, housing, clothing, heat, transportation, and translations. These are all services that we regularly put families in contact with people in the community who want to help them on these issues. And so, it's always been our experience that there's a lot of people out in the community that want to help, and we have a lot of families who have needs. And dedicating ourselves to really being the conduit so that our students, through their families, get support from the community that wants to give it to them, something that the school can do a better job of. And we're very pleased to see that these efforts are really bearing fruit now that we've put our full effort into them. So very pleased with the progress we're making on Goal 2.
In Goal 3, which is more about responding to the needs of our students, as you saw tonight, we had a PBIS presentation. We had asked all of the schools through their school improvement plans to breathe some life back into their PBIS systems, and you saw that this evening. The Human Resources Committee continues to work on diversifying our staff and retaining our current staff. So the Human Resources Council recently sent out a survey about retention to staff. They are currently, or they just finished up some focus groups before the break to learn more about the specific responses that were provided, and then they'll continue to review those responses and select strategies so that we can come up with a district-wide retention plan for our staff. And then finally, the Professional Development Committee is working closely with, through their action plan, working closely with the paraprofessionals to have focus groups so that we can learn more about what their needs are and put professional development opportunities in place for them. We are working very closely with Bridgewater State University. We have an Ed Leadership cohort that's active right now. They actually meet in this room. And so we have a group of teachers currently right now who are working towards getting their administrative license. And finally, we also are continuing to support our educators with their independent action research, which was something that we, the Professional Growth Council last year, wanted to continue to give teachers the opportunity to do that, to select a topic that they wanted to learn more about and implement it on their own in their classrooms. Okay, so any questions about the update that we provided before we go into the new ones? Okay. All right, so for 23-24 with the student learning goal, we have drafted a technology plan, and we would like to take the time next year to really focus on implementing that with, now that we have technology coaches, we have STEAM, we have lots of different systems in place, and feel like we're in a better position to do that, especially with the digital portfolio and our Portrait of a Graduate. We're also starting to create a process where we have data collection and inquiry together. So we'll be having district-level data meetings, school-level data meetings, and we hope that those conversations will generate the ability for interventions to be created and then targeted so that we can improve student learning at the end of the day, really finding out where our gaps are and targeting those and putting plans in place to meet the needs of our students. And then looking closely at the guidance systems that we had spoke about previously, they're doing a lot in terms of transition, and so we want to continue to focus on enhancing our guidance services for students as well. Goal 2, family and community engagement. One of the things that we had started through the pandemic was the online registration system through Aspen, and we rolled that out in the middle of the pandemic. And then last year, when we were going through the construction last summer, when we were getting everything up and running for the building, we were trying to register many students online as well, and so we had to make some quick changes, and so we hope that this year will be the first year we'll be able to have the online system uninterrupted by something big that's happening, and want to make sure all of our systems are in place for that. As well as Superintendent Sawyer mentioned earlier, a consistent process for interpreting services. We have one right now. We just want to make sure we communicate that out so that everyone is aware. Family events have started to come back. I think maybe some of you have gone to some of the night events and events in the building. We want to continue to support those and increase the opportunities for families to connect with our school staff, because we know that when students and their families are feel connected to school, that's when the most student learning improvement happens. That's when everyone is the most successful. And also with our partnerships with the community, we know that this is something that we will never be done with. There'll always be another partner that we're seeking to support or seeking to find that we can support our families for whatever that may be. And so we'll just continue to expand on those partnerships and find what we need for our families, right? And then finally, couple of the other partnerships that we want to continue to maintain and build are Project Connect for our earliest learners, birth to school age, and then continue to support the work of Be Heard. And then finally, responding to the needs of our students and families and the community. Once again, we'll be looking closely at our data collection process, as I mentioned earlier, with the response to intervention, but really looking at our subgroups and seeing which areas we need to actually target some of our supports very intentionally, and also looking at professional learning opportunities and creating, group pathways, but also personalized pathways to advance, the professional learning of our staff. Thinking specifically of the Bridgewater program that we have right now for Ed Leadership, thinking about other opportunities that we could offer our staff in that way. This is a draft of the dashboard for the new goals or outcomes that we had just briefly discussed. And so with your approval, if you agree for us to be able to focus on these for this year, we'll start that process. In terms of next steps, we'll prepare the actual action plan, build that out with targeted dates and goals. We'll share that information with each of the schools so they could connect that information in the actual plan, in the strategic plan, to their school improvement plans so that there's a through line there. And then just continue to present the committee with any updates that we have at the end of this year and summarize our work to date. So,
questions? Mr. Geddes?
Thank you. Going back, I had a question about the first portion as far as related to, sorry, I'm trying to go back to the exact slide. From the progress report, with goal 2, I just couldn't quite figure out how to ask it. Couldn't quite figure out how to frame it in my head. When we're talking about all of the satellite services for students and families, I know there's been discussion about how a lot of that connection falls to the schools just by default, whether or not that should be the responsibility of the schools to connect students and families to those services, or whether that should be the role of some other community organization, or wherever you land on it. Right now, we, by default, because of our interaction with students and their families, and because we know how important it is for students to feel comfortable in order to be at their best in school, it's a role that we have to play. And so I guess my question is, over the last, would you say that over the course of this year, with all of the partnerships that you mentioned, whether it's Man at Health or CCBC, New Hope, would you say that you have seen more referrals, fewer referrals, and even if it's the same amount, would you say that that process has become more efficient or less efficient, and if so, why? It's a very
Yeah.
convoluted question, but
No.
hope you followed it.
Although hard to answer definitively without data to support my claims. But my perception is that the amount of referrals has increased, that the amount of services being connected with students and families has increased significantly. And that's because, as you said, and as I said, right, we're not, while we're a service institution, the service we're providing is education.
Right.
That's what we're good at, that's what we know how to do, that's what we're set up to deliver. And I've worked for previous superintendents who said, because of that, we're not going to be distracted by these things. We're going to not provide employees to help manage those things. We're just going to stick to our lane. And our feeling is that while certainly we should stay in our lane, we need help. And our families need help, and we have a real opportunity to help connect help with the people who need the help. And by creating the Welcome Center and staffing it the way that we have, which is a change, we have created basically a clearinghouse that allows us to centrally run these partnerships in a way that we could not do previously. So in the district before, Lori and I would meet with a partner, and they would talk about what they want to do for us. We say, that's great. And then we'd meet with the principals and say, hey, principals, on the list of 10,000 things you do in a day, by the way, if you happen to be in a meeting in which somebody says, I need this service, would you please try to remember that that service can be provided by this person over here? And, lo and behold, that wasn't a terribly efficient way to make those connections. So having people who are, focused on this and dedicated to it, and, that's their job, has made a tremendous difference in our ability to systematically connect people with services that they need.
So while it's still, and burdened isn't the right word for it,
It's a bit of a burden. I don't think that's way off, but.
So while that still exists, you're able to focus more now on the actual education of the students than you were before, and you're able to provide the services more.
Yeah, I mean, as I've alluded to, there have been people before that say, because education is our mission, because we are accountable for our results, we have to spend every last red cent on things that are absolutely only focused on education. And I mean, there's a certain logic to that, I understand it, but we believe that there's a balance where a certain amount of our resources being spent to help make sure that kids are in the best possible place to learn pays dividends that are worth what we give up in terms of not having another, FTE. And that's a tough balance, especially in a district where we're, not to keep harping on a thing, but $23 million below average. We don't have a lot of dollars to spread on these things, but even in the conditions that we're under, we feel pretty strongly that we have to remember that these are not little robots in front of us, right? They're human beings, and we have to grapple with the issues that they are dealing with, whatever they are, first, before we can get to a place where we can educate them. That's just the cold reality that we face, and we'd love to live in a world where every student comes in the door ready to learn that day, and with no other distractions in their lives. But when you have a district that's 40% high needs, that's not a reality. So we feel pretty strongly that these supports are necessary and worth the investment that we make in them.
Thank you.
Ms. Larson?
So much of your comments over the years being on the school committee, I've realized if we were just educating to a certain extent, your job would be a lot easier. But in order to educate, there's so much that we need to do to help people get to the point where they're ready to be educated. And I don't think the community realizes that for the most part. I mean, I really think people just think, hey, put the kid in front of a teacher and bang, you've got education. But so many of the kids they're not there yet. I mean, never mind the stupid pandemic that we just came through. I mean, those mean, if you had somebody who needed some help before the pandemic, I can't even imagine how much more help they're gonna need now, again, to get to a point where they can receive a proper education. So, I mean, I think, I hate to keep bringing that up to the community, but the community needs to realize that in the absence of other services somewhere else, you know, we're almost forced to pick some of this up. And I really don't think the community realizes that. So, thank you very much.
No, thank you for acknowledging it.
Okay, thank you. I think you need a vote from us, but just one comment from me, I guess, is just to thank the administration and the staff and employees and the community members who worked so hard on putting the strategic plan together and then working with it throughout the term of the strategic plan. I think there's oftentimes you hear strategic plan and your eyes kind of gloss over and you're like, oh no, what's going on? But I think we've seen, at least in the school district, when you have a well thought out strategic plan that is monitored and stuck to how important it can be and how productive it can be. I mean, we had the strategic plan, the previous one put in place, and we had a major budget crisis and we had major staffing shortfalls for quite some time that we're still digging out of. And then we also had the pandemic, and then largely through the ability to, you know, focus our attention through those crises at, okay, what is our vision, what is our mission, and how are we going to accomplish that? I think we're able to navigate that storm, or those storms, and all the other minor storms that come up on a daily basis. So it's not glamorous work, I know, but you know, it's well appreciated and needed, and it makes a great impact on the district. So thank you, you know, as the people presenting it to the committee and the community. I know there are a lot of people behind you, but thank you for that. And you need a vote to approve the proposed strategic outcomes for 2022 to 2023, is that correct?
23, 24.
23, 24, correct, sorry.
Yep.
So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed strategic outcomes for the 2023 to 2024 academic year as presented in the presentation tonight and the materials presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right, motion passes, thank you. I see two other items on the business agenda tonight. Superintendent Sawyer, the first I have is the election commission request for the special election.
Yes, there is a special election, and the election commission has asked us to use the schools again in the way that they had previously, so.
Which was Quello and Willett?
Quello and Willett.
And would the schools be closed or would they be open?
Schools would be open.
Schools would be open, okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion before we get to discussion to authorize the use of Quello for Ward 1 and Willett Elementary School for Ward 3 for the special election scheduled for February 28th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Mr. Storrs.
I know we've talked about it in the past, but can you just update the community, I guess, on the safety precautions and how we make sure that the voters are gaining access to the students within the school?
Yeah, there's a police detail in both schools, and the schools have organized the space such that there's a boundary in which they, you know, the voting and both the people coming in to vote and the workers are kept to during the process. We, in both places, ask voters to consider not coming during the arrival and dismissal. I mean, certainly they're allowed to, but most people are, if they're aware that there's a concern. I mean, if you come once, I guess you learn very quickly that it's probably in your best interest not to come at those times. But yeah, no, both schools, you know, work very closely with the commission to put all the procedures in place so that we know that everything's going to be safe. You know, I have to be honest, Coelho's an advantage in that it has 2 gyms and it's a bigger school and has more parking, so it's a little bit smoother than at Willett. But you know, we make it work, and this is a special election, so if history is any indication, the number of people coming to vote is going to be pretty minimal that day.
Mr. Bettis?
That's a great segue to the comment I was going to make. In addition to the plug for everyone to come to the debate, or at least watch it on AACS, I would encourage as many folks to come out to vote as possible. We're fortunate to have three strong candidates that I think are... Four. I'm sorry, I missed the fourth, sorry. Four strong candidates that are very dedicated to Attleboro. So I think it'll be good for more community members than historically have to come out for a local election in general, but especially a special election. Thank you.
Mr. Benchy?
Yeah, it goes to without reason upon approving this, which I suspect will be the case, that, families of both schools will be aware that on that day,
Yes.
there'll be extra traffic in and out. So for people that are coming to pick up their students, they will have to deal with a little extra traffic at those times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, seeing no further questions or discussion, motion has been made and seconded to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Last, Superintendent Sawyer, that I see is the 2023-2024 academic calendar update.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This is the time of year for us to approve next year's calendar. It was our hope that we would bring a proposal to you this evening, but we are still working out some of the details with our partners in the AEA. The way that the calendars work next year, there's just a little bit of a complication that we're trying to iron out, and we're hopeful that we'll have a proposal for you at the next meeting. But we did want to communicate to the community that we, the differences between the things that are under consideration are minor and don't really change the fact that what parents should anticipate is that we'll be returning to school the last week of August. So while the exact date has to be nailed down, and we'll have that for 2 weeks from today, that we will have days of school in the last week of August, so people should plan for that, or at least that'll be our proposal to the committee.
Thank you. Anything further, Mr. Sawyer?
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we have minutes from our December 5th, 2022 meeting. Minutes were circulated with your materials. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, edits? All right, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Consent agenda, 11 items tonight. Motion to accept a contractual obligation from Smile Pro Portraits, Inc. in the amount of $5,508.81 broken down in the memorandum dated January 4th from myself. Motion to accept the donation in the amount of $1,000 from the Attleboro Lodge of Elks, number 1014, to benefit the 20 to 25 students participating in the Unified Basketball Program. Motion to accept the donation in the amount of $1,000 from the Attleboro Lodge of Elks 1014 to assist 10 to 12 families identified as having a financial need to supplement their user fees required from Attleboro students participating in interscholastic athletics. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $98.15 from Bliss Restaurant Corporation for the Attleboro High School Student Council. Motion to accept the donation in the amount of $157.60 from Bliss Restaurant Corporation for the class of 2023. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $10,000 from the A. Irvin Studley Elementary School PTO to be used for the benefit of students. Motion to accept a payment in the amount of $14.25 from Bay State Textiles to Hill Roberts. Motion to accept the contractual obligation in the amount of $75.75 from Planet Aid, Inc. as broken down on the check receipt dated December 16th, 2022. Motion to accept the donation of dictionaries with an estimated value of $1,080 from the Attleboro Elks Lodge, 1014. One dictionary per each third grade student as part of the dictionary project, whose goal is to provide every third grade student in the country with a dictionary. Motion to approve an overnight international field trip proposal 15, grades 7 to 12 students to attend the Mask State Conference in Hyannis, Massachusetts on March 8th, 2023 to March 10th, 2023. And motion to approve a day field trip proposal for 150 8th grade Coelho Middle School students to attend High Meadow in Granby, Connecticut on June 6th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or discussion or questions?
It's just always great when you see so many areas of the community giving back to the schools, and in particular, when that was a pretty significant amount from the PTO of Studley, so kudos to them.
Agreed. Anything else? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda passes. Next, we have our one subcommittee meeting report tonight, and that's finance and budget, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Larson for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Budget Subcommittee met last Wednesday, January 4th. We went through the financials with Mr. Furtado. We are still tracking with a potential issue having to do with staffing that we're currently having to go out and contractually hire for because we cannot find enough people to actually hire directly. This is an ongoing, it's been ongoing since the beginning of the year, and it's something that the district is working to try to fill these spots as best they can, but you know, as you've heard and seen in a lot of places, there's just staffing shortages across the board in just about every industry, and we are not any different from that. So right now we're potentially looking at about $500,000 that we are currently on track to spend if we can't find these people to hire directly between now and the end of the year, and I will keep the committee updated as we go forward. We also had an MSBA update. So as we know, we had 2 flooring projects going on at 2 different elementary schools. Hill Roberts seemed to work great. Hyman Fine, the floor failed inspection. So this is actually a city project, but obviously has a huge impact on us. There is a plan in place to remedy this. I don't think it'll be pushing the end of the year before it gets remedied the way it's currently on schedule. Is that?
Well, we're looking to try to get it done over April vacation and maybe go into the next week or 2.
Okay. So we're keeping our fingers kind of crossed on that one. The high school that we're currently enjoying the use of, it's still considered under construction by some people. So there's still a punch list of things that we're going through. There's been a lot of training on all the new systems. The parking lot, obviously, over the last couple of weeks, you've seen a lot of improvements there. The solar panels, if you go around the back, I never know exactly, is this the back, the front, whatever. So if you go on the side closest to the football field, you'll see the solar panels up over the parking lot. We also had an update on the train system that we're doing throughout the district, and that's been a huge success. They're just about done, I think, at this point. And I'm not sure there's a school other than this one that project has not touched. And it's been a huge benefit for the district, and so great to see that happening. We had no motions to bring forward to the full committee, but I do have one personal comment that I'd like to make before I wrap up. I've had the opportunity to attend 2 different concerts in a brand new Bray Auditorium, and not only did the music department do a great job in putting on both concerts, but it is an incredible auditorium to listen to a concert. The acoustics in that room are amazing. The first concert we went to, I'm not sure they used a microphone, and you could hear it throughout the whole room. It was really incredible. So I enjoy music, so that was a lot of fun for me. And Mr. Chairman, that's the extent of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. That concludes our subcommittee meeting reports for tonight. Next, we have open forum. Is there anyone who would like to address the committee at open forum tonight? All right, I don't see anyone, so I will close open forum. Does anyone have any new business? Mr. Frappier?
Not new business, but I just want to recognize Mr. Larson reminded me and Scott Dominici were lucky enough to go to the Christmas concert at Thatcher in December, hosted by Mr. Chippo and the 4th graders. It was excellent. And just it was very nice to see all the kids in great mood, and the cookies and hot chocolate afterwards were delicious. So it's nice to see everyone returning to school at night to visit.
It's just good to see music all the way down to the lower levels, and putting that investment in, I think, pays dividends as a father of said chorus and music folks. It's a whole different ballgame to have it at every level.
And full disclosure, it was my niece that I went to. It wasn't just out of the goodness of my heart.
Anyone else? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.